it like the first time you got on an F-18?
Oh, it was the coolest roller coaster I had ever been on. I couldn't get enough.
It's one of the most exhilarating, dangerous, and critical military roles. Did you realize in that moment when you first started flight school just how dangerous it was?
I had no idea.
As an F-18 Super Hornet weapons system officer and pilot, Caroline Johnson was one of the first women to fly a combat mission over Iraq following the pullout in 2011, dropping bombs on ISIS. Explain to me just how dangerous it is on a flight deck in an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, so at any time you're just seconds away from death.
After graduating from the U.S. Naval Academy in 2009, Johnson joined the Navy's elite aviation team. During her deployment on the USS George H.W. Bush in 2014, her squadron employed the first weapons on ISIS in Iraq and conducted the first ever U.S. strikes into Syria.
I was in a combat operational squadron for 3 years, and I executed one combat deployment, and it was 9 months. In that time, I flew 42 combat missions and was quite engaged over there.
On these missions, what were you typically called in to do?
We were there to support the ground troops who were out patrolling and ensuring the safety of the Afghan people from the Taliban.
But the path to soar this high was often turbulent. You go into a lengthy description in the book about your first days with your squadron. Why was it so difficult?
You've gotten to the top of the totem pole in your last unit and you're back down at the bottom, which is always a very humbling experience.
Men usually dominated the culture, she says.
When things are said, hey, no, F you, that's a woman's job, it's like, wow, I didn't realize that's the point that we were at. You know, I thought we were peers and coworkers and just trying to help each other out. I grew so much from that experience.
An unbreakable bond was formed among fellow female fighters. She calls them the Jet Girls. How important was that camaraderie, not just in flight school, but also afterwards?
Those are the most important relationships during that time in my life. And sometimes feeling excluded by the guys, having the girls to turn to, and the Jet Girls especially, it meant so much to me, and they really helped carry me through some challenging times in my life.
Johnson's latest adventure has her firmly planted on the ground. As a motivational speaker, she's now helping to ignite and inspire a brand new generation of young men and women. What do you think is the most important message that your story can convey to people?
Life is going to throw you curveballs. You're going to have bullies. You're going to have people who are going to try and knock you down from where you're at, and you have to overcome that.
Stephanie Gusk reporting. Those fighter pilots are so impressive. By the way, we reached out to the Navy, which doesn't comment on individual accounts, but the Navy said in part, naval aviation greatly values the service of its female aviators. Over the past decade, the numbers of female naval aviators have steadily increased, and we celebrate their many successes. And for more about the book, Jet Girl, you can go to today.com/shop.
That's an awesome read.